This episode is both more than I expected and less than what it could and should have been. Why? Well, because on the one hand, while I knew that this episode would focus on Amethio, with Onia and Zirc also playing a key role, I never expected that we would get to learn more about them via flashbacks that give us a glimpse into Amethio's childhood, Zirc and Onia's first days with the explorers and Amethio, and what happened to Amethio after the fall of Laqua, providing us with a parallel between Amethio's Ceruledge and Liko Charcadet, an explanation behind Zirc and Onia's devotion to Amethio, and answers to some of the questions we all had following Amethio's disappearance, respectively. These are all crucial details that enhance this episode greatly. Since Ceruledge and the Charcadet battle each other, their clash is far more personal and meaningful because of how alike they are, even down to the fact that they both bowed to protect their trainer. Onia and Zirc continue to prove just how loyal they are to Amethio and how much they are willing to do for him, something that means a lot more now that we know why they respect and care about him so much. And we learned that Amethio has been stranded on an island for pretty much the entire year following his disappearance, a fact that would have left us with a lot of questions if we didn't get to see how he ended up here and why. All these things make more sense and have more of an impact because of the extra backstory this episode provides. On the other hand though, none of these flashbacks go nearly as deep as they should and could have gone. They do just enough to serve the story and characters, but not nearly enough to satiate our curiosity fully or to leave us with anything truly profound or memorable, which is disappointing since there was an opportunity here to really flesh out Amethio's relationship with Onia and Zirc, explore his childhood and bond with his mother and Ceruledge, and dive into what happened after he escaped Laqua. But this episode fails to capitalize on any of these things, which would have made for at least 2 very interesting episodes, by keeping the backstory as brief as possible, leaving us with several questions still, such as what did Amethio do after escaping Laqua that led to him being chased by explorer grunts, and a ton of wasted potential. But hey, at least we finally get to see Amethio's mother in the flesh. Previously, we only got to see her in pictures. We even get to hear her speak, which is great. Unfortunately though, her appearance is kept quite brief, preventing her from being much of a character and robbing her of playing an important or meaningful role. This is perhaps the single most tragic shortcoming of this episode, and it exemplifies why it's so disheartening that more time wasn't set aside to allow for a deep dive and a full exploration of the fascinating backstory presented here. I guess this is understandable though. They likely didn't want to halt the momentum of the main story by hitting us with extensive flashbacks. It's obvious that they wanted to avoid this while still adding more context and power to this episode and making sure not to take away from its main focus. Liko, Onia, and Zirc finding Amethio, which they do, and perhaps more importantly, reigniting his desire to fight, since the Amethio they find is one who is down and out, defeated. He's given up on trying to oppose Spinel. Instead, he is content with just hiding away on this island. I love that Liko encourages him in much the same way he encouraged her. She even uses basically the exact same words he used back in episode 65 after Spinel trapped them in a cavern. At the time, Liko was the one feeling lost, dejected, and without the will to fight, while Amethio was the one who was confident and determined. Here in episode 104, the roles are reversed, but the outcome is the same. One gives the other the motivation to stand and fight once more. This reinforces something I've pointed out in several of my recent reviews, that one of the things this series does best is referencing the past and retroactively giving it more weight, value, and meaning. Amethio encouraging Liko back then was a turning point for sure, but having Liko return the favor only makes that moment even more significant in retrospect. Of course, Amethio regaining the will to fight doesn't happen just because of Liko. Charcadet contributes too by challenging Ceruledge to a battle that everyone, us included, knows it cannot win. And it doesn't, but this isn't the point. Charcadet was never supposed to win. Its role is to be a beacon of inspiration. Seeing Charcadet fall repeatedly only to stand up and keep fighting every time, never faltering, never giving up, and always battling with heart while doing its best despite facing an opponent that is significantly stronger than itself, emboldens Amethio. He sees what courage, determination, and an unyielding spirit look like. That it's possible to oppose an overwhelming force if you never back down. That no matter how insurmountable the opposition may appear to be, if you don't give up, if you keep fighting, an opportunity at a comeback to land a decisive blow, a weakness you can exploit, will show itself eventually, giving you a chance at victory. This is exemplified when Charcadet finally manages to land a hit on Ceruledge in what is a truly epic and exciting moment. While this doesn't allow Charcadet to win the battle, it does win recognition from Ceruledge, who proceeds to finally take Charcadet seriously. Charcadet deserves a lot of praise and respect for standing its ground and making such a definitive statement. I said back when Liko captured it that Charcadet has incredible potential, and this episode is testament to that. A potential that Ceruledge will help nurture since, like I predicted, it and the Charcadet end up as rivals that vow to battle again someday. Something Liko supports, citing that they will win next time. Charcadet will surely be stronger by then and even more determined to win. And speaking of determination to win, this is exactly what Amethio displays as he leaves the island, Zygarde cube in hand, to search for a way to oppose Spino. He already inherited his grandfather's will and mission. Now, presumably, he will also inherit his legendary Pokémon, which will undoubtedly be an extremely valuable ally in the fight against the Explorers and the Laqua. Also, I just have to mention the fact that one of the reasons why I predicted that Liko would catch a Charcadet months before it happened was that it would allow her to mirror Amethio, something that of course this episode highlights and showcases beautifully in multiple ways. While having Liko catch Charcadet was already satisfying enough for me, seeing even the reasoning I predicted behind it come true is simply remarkable, almost surreal. It's one thing to call the capture, but for the narrative itself to validate the why makes the payoff all the more powerful and significant for me, and it's yet another reason why I love this episode. Finally, when this series began, Onia was quite taken with Sprigatito, but since they were enemies, this didn't really work out. Sprigatito refused any gestures of affection. Fast forward to this episode, and it's clear Onia's love is unchanged, even if Sprigatito is a Meowscarada now. The difference is that since they are now allies, they can actually get along, with Meowscarada responding well to Onia's kindness, which delights Onia greatly. I love this. Again, it's the little things. No detail or moment is too small to be referenced and given greater meaning and a purpose. It's something that this series excels at and only serves to make it better, especially for those of us that have been watching from the start. So yeah, overall this episode was fantastic. It gave us meaningful backstory, showcased Charcadet's unyielding spirit and boundless potential, and reignited Amethio's determination to fight, all while reinforcing the bonds between him, Onia, Zirc, and Ceruledge. The several callbacks to the past, the subtle character growth, and the small but memorable moments like Onia and Meowscarada's interaction make the world, story, and characters feel alive and connected. While some potential was unfortunately left unexplored and several questions remain unanswered, this episode succeeded in balancing action, emotion, and the narrative, setting the stage for even bigger developments ahead for both the characters and their journey. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, feel free to click the links on screen. And if you'd like to support the channel and help me keep making content like this, you can find all the ways to do so in the description and in the pinned comment. Whether it's through a small donation or just watching and sharing, every bit of support means the world to me. Thank you so very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.